Let's start with something that isn't a metaphor. It's not a figure of speech. It is a cold, hard, physical fact that impacts every single one of us as we get older. That's right. After you hit 60, your brain actually starts to lose volume. We're talking about a real, measurable loss of neurons and the connections that basically hold your entire life, your memories, your personality. But, and this is the really important part, it doesn't happen to everyone at the same speed. You know people who are sharp as a tack into their 80s, right? And then others who start to fade much, much earlier. Well, it turns out that difference isn't just about genes or plain old luck.
So what's the secret? Well, scientists have been digging into this for decades, and one of the biggest, most powerful factors they've found is the food we eat. And look, this isn't just some vague eat your vegetables advice. We are talking about specific chemical compounds, scientifically proven to get past your brain's defenses and cause visible, physical shrinkage.
So in this explainer, we're going to count down the 7 absolute worst offenders, the foods that studies have directly linked to brain atrophy. And I'm going to warn you right now, number 1 is a real shocker. It's something millions of us eat every single day, thinking it's totally fine, maybe even the healthy choice. Stick around for that. All right, kicking us off at number 7 is the one you probably saw coming, fast food and fried foods. No surprise there, right? But the danger here is so much bigger than just your cholesterol. For your brain, it's a triple threat. You've got these toxic fats that are created when oil is heated over and over, you've got insane levels of sodium that choke off blood flow to the brain, and you have a cocktail of chemicals that just fuels a fire of chronic inflammation. And this isn't just a theory. Check this out. A major university study found that people who ate a lot of fast food had actual measurable shrinkage in their hippocampus. Now, your hippocampus, that's your brain's memory headquarters. It's where you form new memories and store old ones. When that part of your brain starts to shrink, it is one of the very first and most terrifying warning signs of Alzheimer's disease.
Coming in at number 6 is alcohol. Now, I know what you're thinking. For years, we've heard that a glass of red wine is actually good for you. Well, it turns out that whole idea might be a myth. You see, the newer, more careful science has found a huge flaw in those old studies. Their non-drinker groups often included former heavy drinkers who had to quit because they were already sick. So once the researchers accounted for that, guess what? The so-called health benefits of moderate drinking, they completely vanished.
But the harm? Oh, the harm did not disappear. This massive study, which followed people for 30 years, is just staggering. It found that even moderate, totally responsible drinking was linked to a nearly 3 times greater risk of shrinking that same critical memory center, the hippocampus. 3 times! And that risk gets even worse after 60, as our brains just become more and more vulnerable.
Okay, now for a weird one. At number 5, we have microwave popcorn. I know, it sounds a little random. But the problem here isn't the corn itself. It's about a very specific chemical that's used to create that buttery flavor and smell.
That chemical is called diacetyl, and what makes it so nasty is how it wages a 2-front war on your brain. First, it's able to sneak past the blood-brain barrier, which is supposed to be your brain's security guard. Once it's inside, it helps build up those sticky amyloid plaques that are the signature of Alzheimer's. At the same time, it gums up the works of your brain's natural cleaning crew, which is supposed to be clearing those exact same plaques away. It's a devastating 1-2 punch. Sliding in at number 4, processed cheese products. Now let's be super clear. We are not talking about real traditional cheese like a nice aged cheddar or a good Parmesan. We're talking about things like those floppy American cheese singles, Velveeta, Cheese Whiz, that kind of stuff. Let's be honest, nutritionally, they're not really cheese. They're highly engineered food-like products. And the danger is really in the processing. They're often made with industrial fats that can cause serious inflammation inside your blood vessels. They're loaded with additives like phosphates that actually make your arteries get stiff and age faster. And just like with fast food, the massive amount of sodium restricts that precious blood flow that your brain needs to survive. Number 3 on our list, commercial baked goods. You know what I mean? The muffins, donuts, croissants, and packaged pastries you see everywhere. These things are basically the world's most perfect delivery system for a massive spike in your blood sugar. And when that happens over and over again, day after day, the consequences for your brain are absolutely devastating. What happens is something terrifying called insulin resistance, but in your brain. It's gotten so serious that many researchers are now calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. And here's why that's so scary. When your brain cells stop listening to the hormone insulin, they lose their ability to take in sugar for energy. They can't repair themselves, they can't grow, they can't clean out the toxic waste. A brain that can't use insulin is, quite literally, starving to death from the inside out.
And now for number 2, the one that fooled so many of us for so long, diet soda. For decades, this was pushed as the healthy alternative, the responsible, zero-calorie choice. But wow, has the latest science on the brain told a completely different and deeply disturbing story. Just look at this chart. This isn't my opinion. This is from a huge study in a major medical journal called Stroke. It found that drinking just one artificially sweetened drink per day was linked to a nearly 3 times higher risk of both stroke and dementia. That is a staggering risk, hiding behind a zero-calorie promise. The science suggests it's a combination of how these chemicals mess with our healthy gut bacteria and create toxic byproducts in our bodies.
And here we are, the #1 most damaging food for your brain after 60. You ready for this? It isn't sugar, it isn't salt, it's vegetable shortening and the industrial trans fats that come with it. You will find this stuff in thousands of common foods: store-bought cookies, crackers, pie crusts, margarine, coffee creamers. It is absolutely everywhere.
And here's why it's so incredibly sneaky. There's a labeling loophole. Companies are legally allowed to print 0 grams trans fat right on the front of the box as long as a single serving has less than 0.5 gram. But who eats just one serving? Nobody. You have a few cookies, maybe a handful of crackers, and suddenly you've eaten a significant amount of this toxic fat, all while the label was telling you that you were eating 0. It's a total deception. So why is this #1? Because trans fats are uniquely poisonous to the brain. They literally get absorbed into the outer walls of your brain cells, your neurons, and they make them stiff and rigid, almost like they're frozen. They can't communicate properly. But the truly horrifying part? It's how long they stick around. This stuff can stay lodged in your brain tissue for years, causing damage long after you've forgotten you even ate that pastry. Okay, I know that was an alarming list. It's pretty heavy stuff, but the point of this is not to scare you. It's to empower you. It's to arm you with the knowledge you need to protect yourself. So let's take a breath and quickly recap this into a clear defense plan for your brain.
So here it is, all in one place. 7 categories of food and the very specific way each one attacks your brain. You've got the blood vessel damage from fast food, the memory center shrinkage from alcohol, all the way down to the long-lasting, cell-stiffening poison of hidden trans fats. Just go ahead and take a second to look this over. Seriously, just knowing this list, being aware of these 7 culprits, that's the most powerful first step you can possibly take.
And I want to leave you with this final thought. Your brain built every single memory you have. It holds every person you've ever loved, every lesson you've ever learned. It is everything that makes you, you. It deserves to be defended. The threat from these foods might be quiet, it might be invisible, but after watching this, it's not invisible to you anymore.